Greetings and salutations. I have recently gone through the process of selecting and purchasing a grapple for my 60-horse tractor, and instead of letting those thoughts fall by the wayside, I thought I would share them. What I have here is a comprehensive list of the different types of grapples that Land Pride offers, all gathered from their website. We have a bucket grapple for large ag tractors, a scrap and root grapple for skid loaders, rock and skeleton for either a large tractor or a skid steer, and finally we move into grapples that can be used by compact and subcompact tractors. These are either a combo bucket or a claw style grapple. As you can see, they have everything you would want in the way of grapple, but they certainly don't have every style and every size. For example, you would likely find a smaller rock grapple for use on a subcompact tractor from another manufacturer. You may be able to get under some rocks, but you might not be able to lift those rocks. I believe this is why most of the grapple products from Land Pride recommend a skid steer or greater than 60-horse tractor. With that being said, all the grapples shown today use the same quick attach system, so you could put any of them on a machine that has that type of front hookup. If you are not familiar with Kubota's product lineup, that last slide may have not meant much to you. Here's a crash course for some and a refresher for others on Kubota's tractors and skid steers. You can get in the weeds with specific model numbers, so I will keep the references tied to a series with the tractor. And when I say something is for skid steers, I'm referring to any size of the SSV or SVL. I am breaking the grapple use up like this since Land Pride sets up the Kubota match recommendations in the same way. They tell you the machine each implement is designed for on each product page of their website. Please note that the BX and B have similar engine sizes. The B series is slightly heavier and is sometimes referred to as a compact tractor. Land Pride thinks this makes a difference when we get into claw grapples, but I disagree. If you look at the horsepower, you will notice some overlap between the series. As you go up in series, the frame of the machine gets bigger. This allows you to go up in footprint while keeping the engine more efficient. If you put the same engine on two different frames, the heavier framed machine will have an easier time handling implements. Alright, now we are all educated. Hopefully the grapples and their machine pairs make sense. The first grapple we have is apparently only for the Kubota M series tractors, meaning something that is over 2 tons in weight and greater than 60 horsepower. This grapple is a bucket with a pinned grapple attachment that allows you to give some support to any heaped load. There is not really any other use for this thing other than getting and keeping as much hay into the bucket as possible. I suppose you could also scoop up large piles of brush in a pinch. It is the only grapple on this list that is designed in a way to remove the grapple portion. So this would be something you would buy instead of the loader bucket when you spec out a machine for your beef farm. Not a scrape grapple, a scrap grapple. This is a shallow skid steer bucket with large claws on the top of it. This gives you a little more control over that broken apart concrete and loose scrap metal, which is why it's called a scrap grapple. If you welded some plate steel on the side, it would essentially be a bucket grapple for a skid steer. If your main goal is to grip as many sticks and logs that you possibly can haul in one trip, then this is a grapple for you. Land Pride only recommends this thing with a skid steer, likely due to the high possibility of overloading the front and that it holds the load fairly far from the arms. This thing could potentially sift out sticks from the dirt, but not much else since the tine spacing is a little too great for anything else. This rocks! It's in the name of this grapple. It can dig into the dirt to grab those large stones that have sunk into the ground over the years. With 3-inch spacing tines, it is perfect for sifting out medium to large stones. The top jaws are not meant to completely contain whatever is in the bucket, more to help pinch a stubborn boulder. This gives slightly more versatility than a plain old rock bucket, though I am sure if you looked into it, the versatility might not be worth the added price. Boo! Just kidding. The skeleton grapple is allowed to be used in other times of the year other than Halloween. Though with similarities to the rock grapple, you may want to reserve it for a more spookier occasion. The differences this one has over the rock grapple are that the tines are spaced further apart and it lacks the sidewall guards. Finally, we are in the meat of this presentation. Most people, when they hear the word grapple, they think of this style grapple, a claw close to the arms of the machine. You may notice that BX and B are separated on what grapple they can use. This is how Land Pride separates these grapples. I found this odd since almost all other attachments they offer do not split these two out. They simply reference BX series when something can be used for the BX or B tractors. The claw grapple's primary purpose is for brush and yard debris. This is due to the tight grip this thing is designed to have over whatever you are handling. However, not all claws are created equal, and the uses of each model vary pretty severely. For example, the first two should probably stay out of the dirt, while the other three could be used to run under a stump and rip it right out of the ground, to varying degrees, of course. This duty chart was put together after watching countless hours of other people use and review grapples. The little number to the left of the grapple picture is the thickness of the tines/teeth. Starting out small is the SGC 0554, which I do not recommend anyone purchase. I have seen multiple videos of people showing their bent tines. To be fair, Land Pride states this is only for light yard debris. But let's be honest, if you buy a grapple, you are eventually going to want to get that thing in the dirt, which is why even if you have a subcompact tractor, I would recommend you start out with the SGC 0660. This grapple has slightly thicker teeth and some added supports on the bottom tines. It also comes with a parking stand built right into the thing. I have seen a few vids of people smoothing out dirt with this one, but keep in mind that this grapple is not marketed for dirt work. So proceed with caution and don't be tempted to try and dig under a tree stump or rip up rocks. The 60-inch version of the SG10 series is the grapple that I ultimately purchased for use with my MX tractor. I have been able to rip out small stumps, pick up large rocks, and drag it deep into the dirt. I have also been able to rip limbs right off of trees. This thing is sturdy and feels powerful, but not as powerful as the SG15 or 20 series. These have the same thickness of tines with a more aggressive angle and wider steel teeth. The 15 series has reinforcement surrounding each tooth, making it even more of a beast. These features make this grapple on par with a construction grapple. It does protrude out a bit more than the others, but I suppose that is alright, since it is meant for a larger machine. And for the bonus grapple, we have a combo bucket. This is considered a 4-in-1 tool, and quite frankly, I don't think it does any of those tools justice. It might be worthwhile if you are someone that hated swapping front attachments. It can dig like a regular bucket, but does have a decent sized bump in the middle where the two halves meet that would still allow some dirt to fall out. If you lift the front part, it can push dirt around like a dozer, shown in that middle picture there. You can also drag it in that configuration with either the front or the bottom half. And you could also clamp onto some debris and move that debris around. This is a bucket that I have seen other farmers use, and I noticed they had trouble picking anything up with it. But hey, if you feel this thing would be able to do all you need and more, then the power to you. It's a little pricey, so I would recommend getting this in place of a regular bucket for your machine to save a couple of bucks. Speaking of money, here are the pricing. Now, I am not going to give pricing for each individual item. That would take too long and be boring. Here is a range of the price you can expect. Unfortunately, Land Pride does not give an MSRP on their website. They make you talk to a dealer. I believe this is so you can be convinced to bundle more implements together. Keep in mind that most of these are for large machines and are priced accordingly. And now it's time for the old final thoughts. The best overall grapple, in my opinion, is the claw. It can move everything, just not as much at one time. It can rake, it can sift. It does great for general debris, construction or otherwise. If you have a larger machine, it can do anything those larger grapples, more specific grapples can do. And speaking of the other grapples, all the other ones, they are designed for a specific purpose. So if you have a very specific job and you only are going to use this grapple for that one thing, you're not really considering it as a jack of all trades, then definitely go for the tool that best fits that need. Hopefully this was an adequate tour of the Land Pride options for grapples. Until next time, I'm the Informed Human. Goodbye.